So you watched part 1. You saw Absalom avenge his sister. You watched him steal a kingdom. You may have even thought, you know what? He's got a point. But can I be honest with you? That's exactly what Absalom wanted you to think. Because the beautiful rebel who stood at the gate kissing strangers, the people's champion who promised justice, that guy is about to do something so horrifying, so unforgivable, that you'll understand why his own hair had to strangle him to death. Today we're finishing the story, the battle, the betrayal, the father's desperate plea that changes everything, and the moment when Absalom's vanity, literally his hair, becomes the instrument of divine justice. Part 2 is here, and I promise you, the way Absalom dies will haunt you. Let's go. Here's another gut punch. Absalom was punished for rebellion. But was he really being punished for rebellion or for embarrassing the king publicly? Because power tolerates private sin, but it never tolerates public challenge. And let's address the elephant in the room. Why did David grieve Absalom more than he grieved Tamar? 2 Samuel 18:33 records David's famous lament, "O my son Absalom, my son, Absalom, if only I had died instead of you. O Absalom, my son, he cries, my son, 8 times. But for Tamar, 0 tears recorded, not 1. What does that tell you about David? What does that tell you about God's view of him? Because remember, David is still called a man after God's own heart. How does that work? We're dropping stories like insider tips on the hottest stocks before they go mainstream, before everyone's talking about them. Subscribers get early access to the goods. This content isn't for people who settle for headlines. It's for the sharp ones who want to be 3 steps ahead, the ones who make friends say, "How do you know this stuff?" Every engagement is rocket fuel for the next launch. Ignore it, and you're buying when everyone else already sold. So, if Absalom had legitimate grievances, why did he lose? Simple. He mistook charisma for competence. Pretty face, perfect hair, empty strategy. See, Absalom had 2 advisors, Ahithophel and Hushai. Ahithophel was a strategic genius. He told Absalom in 2 Samuel 17 1-3, "I would choose 12,000 men and set out tonight in pursuit of David. I would attack him while he is weary and weak. I would strike him with terror, and then all the people with him will flee. I would strike down only the king and bring all the people back to you." Translation: move fast, strike now, end this quickly. It was brilliant, it would have worked. But then Hushai, who was actually secretly loyal to David, gave different advice. He appealed to Absalom's ego. He said, "Wait, gather a massive army. You lead them personally. Dramatize it. This is your big day. Seize it. Make it a show." It's all about theatrics, baby. And Absalom, he went with Hushai. 2 Samuel 17:14 says, "Absalom and all the men of Israel said, 'The advice of Hushai the Archite is better than that of Ahithophel.'" Why? Because Absalom wanted to look powerful more than he wanted to be powerful. Optics over action, image over strategy, ego over expertise. And that decision cost him everything. But here's the most poetic and most tragic part of the whole story. During the battle in the forest of Ephraim, 2 Samuel 18:9 says, "Absalom happened to meet David's men. He was riding his mule, and as the mule went under the thick branches of a large oak, Absalom's hair got caught in the tree. He was left hanging in midair while the mule he was riding kept on going. His hair, the thing he weighed every year, the thing he was most proud of, the thing that symbolized his beauty and his vanity. That's what killed him. He was caught, literally suspended between heaven and earth by the very thing he idolized about himself. 2 Samuel 14:26 tells us his hair weighed 200 shekels, And now that 5-pound crown of glory became a 5-pound noose. Proverbs 16:18 says, "Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall." Absalom didn't just fall, he was hung by his pride. And then Joab, David's commander, showed up. David had specifically ordered his men in 2 Samuel 18:5, "Be gentle with the young man Absalom for my sake." But Joab, he took 3 javelins and drove them through Absalom's heart while he was still alive, hanging helplessly in that tree. David wanted mercy. Joab delivered justice. Or was it murder? Oh, buckle up. If you don't get this, you could be staring at a pile of gold, and there you are, thinking it's just some fancy copper. The killing. Why did Joab kill Absalom against direct orders? Was Joab the real villain? Or was he the realist who understood that you can't negotiate with rebellion? See, David was stuck in an impossible position. He loved his son, he wanted to save him. But Absalom had crossed too many lines. He'd murdered Amnon. He'd rebelled against the throne. He'd publicly humiliated his father. He'd plunged the nation into civil war. Thousands of people died in that battle. 2 Samuel 18:7 says, "The army of Israel was defeated by David's men, and the casualties that day were great, 20,000 men, 20,000 dead." Because David couldn't discipline Amnon. Because Absalom couldn't forgive David. Because both of them loved power more than they loved each other. And here's the heartbreaking question this story forces us to ask. Can you love someone and still need to fight them? Can you grieve for someone who tried to destroy you? Because when David heard Absalom was dead, he didn't celebrate his own victory. He mourned. The king was shaken. He went up to the room over the gateway and wept. As he went, he said, "O my son Absalom, my son Absalom, if only I had died instead of you, O Absalom, my son, my son." Is this the Bible's most honest portrait of a leader torn between justice and love? What does it say about how God grieves over rebels? Because here's the thing, God didn't want Absalom to die. David didn't want Absalom to die. But Absalom made his choices, and choices have consequences. Modern parallels and takeaways. All right, let's bring this home. Because Absalom's story isn't just ancient history, it's happening right now. Ever heard of the Absalom Spirit? It's a term some churches use to describe people who undermine leadership, sow division, and gather followers to themselves. And you know what? Sometimes that term is used legitimately, but sometimes it's weaponized to silence whistleblowers. Think about it. When someone speaks up about abuse in a church and leadership says, "You have an Absalom spirit," what are they really saying? They're saying, "Yo, don't challenge us, don't question us, don't rock the boat." They're protecting abusers with biblical language. And that's exactly what David did. He protected Amnon. He silenced Tamar. He enabled abuse by his inaction. So here's the question. Is Absalom a warning against rebellion or against silence in the face of injustice? Maybe it's both. Because here's what this story teaches us. The rape to rebellion pipeline is real. One unpunished rape led to assassination. Assassination led to exile. Exile led to bitterness. Bitterness led to rebellion. Rebellion led to civil war. Civil war led to 20,000 deaths. All because David didn't act. How many modern institutions are sitting on the same powder keg? How many cover-ups? How many internal investigations? How many NDAs are creating the next generation of Absaloms? When leaders prioritize reputation over justice, victims are erased, and erasure creates rage, and rage left unchecked creates chaos. Open up your mind and further enrich your understanding of well-researched knowledge, which is the foundation of true wisdom. Remember, it's essential to select content that offers something of value. So let me leave you with this. If Absalom had won, Would Israel's history be better or worse? We'll never know. But here's what we do know. History is written by the winners. Absalom is remembered as a rebel. David is remembered as a man after God's heart. But maybe that's too simple. Maybe Absalom was both a sociopath and a broken son. Maybe David's neglect did create the monster. Perhaps the name Absalom, which means father of peace, or my father is peace, is the most ironic name in the Bible. A man named for peace who brought only war. A man blessed with beauty who died by vanity. A man who sought justice, who became the very thing he hated. Here's what I want you to take away. Absalom's story is a warning about what happens when we turn our gifts into our identity. He was so focused on his hair, his looks, his image, his brand, that he lost sight of what actually mattered. And in the end, the very thing he was most proud of became the instrument of his death. Don't let your strengths become your idols. Don't let your charisma replace your character. Don't let your platform become more important than your principles. Absalom's hair caught him in a tree. What's going to catch you? Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. It is better to be of a lowly spirit with the poor than to divide the spoil with the proud. Absalom had everything: beauty, charisma, royal lineage, popular support, but he had one fatal flaw. He believed his own hype. He thought his hair made him invincible. He thought his charm made him untouchable. He thought his cause made him righteous. He was wrong on all three counts. The lesson: your greatest strength, left unchecked, will become your greatest weakness. The thing you're most proud of, that's probably the thing that'll destroy you if you're not careful. There is only one letter difference between anger and danger, and uncontrolled bitterness leads to misjudgment. Absalom was beautiful, but beauty without character is just vanity. Absalom was charismatic, but charisma without integrity is just manipulation. Absalom sought justice, but justice pursued through violence is just revenge. In the end, Absalom got what he wanted. Everyone knew his name. They talked about his hair, his looks, his rebellion. But is that the legacy you want? To get what you wish to only in a short period of time and not be able to maintain it? To be remembered for what you looked like instead of who you were and what you did? Don't be Absalom. Be humble. Be wise. And for the love of God, cut your hair before it kills you. If this story challenged you, hit that like button. Drop a comment and let me know, was Absalom hero or villain? And subscribe for more biblical deep dives that don't sugarcoat the mess. Thanks for watching. See you next time.